Go. Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Cal Life here, bringing you another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video, and today we are going to be playing us some Darklord Despia, or Despian Darklord. It depends on what you want to call it. Either way, it doesn't matter. Anyways, I just wanted to go over the deck that I went ahead and prepared. Now, if you guys are liking the videos, do not forget to go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe. It does help my channel grow, and it helps just, you know, me make the content just a little better. You know, every day I can improve. Anyways, let's get into the deck profile. So right here we're playing 3 Despian Tragedies. Now tragedies is super cool because when it is banished or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can activate its ability to add 1 Despian monster from your deck to your hand. Plus, when it is in the graveyard, you can banish it to bring 1 branded spell or trap to your hand from the graveyard. So super cool. You can only activate 1 effect per turn, but still super cool ability. So we're all playing 3 of those. I'm also playing Darklord Ukoback. Darklord Ukoback is, if this card is normal or special summon, you can send 1 Darklord card from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use this effect on Darklord once per turn. So usually what you would like to do is use Darklord Ukoback to send Darklord Superbia to the grave, especially if you have a Darlord Contact in your hand, because this goes to the grave and then you can use Contact to now special summon this to the field. Then this ability activates to where it can summon 1 fairy monster in the graveyard except for Superbia. So it doesn't have to be a Darklord, it just has to be a fairy type. And as you can see, this deck is full of them. So majority of our cards is fairies, besides for 2 being Fallen of the Albaz being a dragon, and Albion being also a dragon. Oh, and also our Ash Blossoms, which we have at 3. So going back to Ash, we do have 3 Ash Blossoms. We have a Fallen Albaz, which we have only at 1. And Fallen Albaz, what it does is when it's summoned, you can discard 1 card, and if you can make a fusion monster, you can, because you can use the opponent's monster on their field. So it's kind of like its own version of Super Poly. So what you can do is use Fallen Albaz, summon it, discard 1 card from your hand, right? And if, let's say they have a monster, let's say they have a Despia, you can use this, use their Despia monsters to summon creators. Or let's say they have a light monster, you can use Fallen Albaz, take their light monster, summon Albion. If they have another dark monster on the field, you can summon Starving Venom. So, you know, you can do a few things with it. It's actually super annoying. Or let's just say they just have 2 monsters with the same attribute, you can also go into Mud Dragon. So if they have a dark, you can also go into that. So yeah, we're playing one of those. We are playing also Indulged Darklord, which is listed at 3. What Indulge does is when it's normal or special summoned, I can take 2 Darklord monsters from hand or deck with different levels and special summon 1 to our opponent's field, and then 1 to our, and then add 1 to our hand. So what you usually want to do is you summon your Indulged Darklord. You can go ahead and give them an Ukoback, and then from there you can bring yourself out from your deck a Morningstar. And this usually sets up a nice combo potential when it comes to working with the first Darklord, and I'm gonna tell you why. When the first Darklord is fusion summoned using Morningstar, Morningstar allows it to use its first ability, which is it can just basically clear the whole field. It becomes like a super version of Urgeki and a super version of Harpy's Feather Duster all in one. So you can destroy all cards on your opponent's field just because it was fusion using literally Morningstar, which is wild. And then you get a free search of Morningstar because of an Indulged Darklord. Anyways, then we also have listed is Aluber, the Jester of Despia, and then we have those at 3. When this card is summoned or special summoned, you can add 1 branded spell trap card from your deck to your hand. And it has another ability: if a face of fusion monster is controlled by battle or leaves the field because of an effect, then you can summon this card from your graveyard, and then by targeting 1 effect monster and then negating its effect to the end of that turn. So super annoying because it helps set up other things. Then we're playing 2 Darklord Superbias. I already explained. When it's special summon from the grave, you can then special summon another fairy monster. Then we play one of my favorite cards in this deck, Dramaturge of Despia. Dramaturge of Despia, basically when a fusion monster is summoned onto the field whilst on the field, you can negate an ability on the field. And it doesn't matter if it's their monster. So let's say they fusion summon a monster on their side of the field, we can still use Dramaturge. Let's say they link summon a monster on their side, we could use Dramaturge. Same thing with Exceed. If we do a fusion synchro Exceed link, it doesn't matter who does it, we are able to negate an effect as long as this is already on the field. Then it has another goated ability, which is where if it's used as a fusion summon material, then it can summon itself back from the grave in defense mode. So super clutch, like completely clutch. Oh no, it's not even summoning it from in defense mode. You could just summon it in attack mode as well. My bad. So we played 2 of those. We also play Albion the Shrouded Dragon. Basically what you could do is you can send 1 Fallen Albaz or branded trap card to the graveyard, and then you can apply the effect. So I usually don't care about this effect, but what I do care about, we can send this card to the graveyard, right? And then send a branded opening to our grave. And then with branded opening being our grave, if a fusion monster would be destroyed by battle, I can basically destroy or destroyed by card effect, I'm sorry, I can basically banish this card from the graveyard and then I can keep it alive. So that's another good reason to do that. So we play 1 of those, and then obviously we play Morningstar. Morningstar has an ability where we can basically evacuate our deck as long as it's on the field, and then we can get life points up to how many Darklord monsters we sent from the deck to the grave. But we don't really care about that effect. We really just care about Darklord Morningstar being used to get off our first Darklord to pop its effect. Then I play 1 monster, Reborn. I play 3 Banishment of The Darklord. This is very simple. You can add a Darklord from your deck to your hand. I played 2 copies of Darlord Contact, where I can special summon any Darklord monster from the graveyard, except for Darklord Morningstar, just because its effect cannot be special summoned. No matter what, it cannot be special summoned. Then I play 1 Branded in White, which is a fusion summon 1 monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material, including a dragon monster. You can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material if you use Fallen of the Albaz as your fusion material from your hand, field, or by banishing itself from the graveyard. So we can use it to summon another monster. We can definitely use it to summon Albion, which is pretty easy considering that, you know, it's really not that hard to get a light and a dark monster on the field to summon that. We use 2 Despia Theaters. Despia Theaters basically allows us to fusion summon our monsters, so we don't need polymerization. We just need this. And also on top of that, if let's say any one of these effect monsters here, right, decides to go do battle and destroy itself, then we can use Theater to go ahead and summon a card from our graveyard that was a fusion monster that is either level 8 or higher, right? So it's super good for that. And then on top of that, another thing is if this card leaves the field, then we can also go ahead and summon a monster. So then we're running 2 Super Poly. Super Poly is super useful. You can use it just to summon any of these monsters here, based on what your opponent has. Sometimes you can use both their monsters. You don't even have to use anything, but you discard a card. So then we use Branded Openings. Branded Openings is basically a quick spell, and it allows us to discard 1 card and take 1 Despia monster from our deck, add it to our hand, or special summon it. So the combo you usually want to go for is use the Branded Opening, discard Tragedy, and then summon out Jester. Both their effects activate. You get to bring a card to your hand, and then bring a monster card to the hand, and then with this you could bring a spell card to your hand, mostly being Theater. So yeah, Then we have the Sanctified Darklord, which is when I can send one Darklord monster from your hand or face up from your field to the graveyard, and then we can negate the effect of one effect monster until the end of this turn. And if you do, we get to gain life points equal to its attack. So two good abilities: negate an effect and also gain life points. Then I play two infinite impermanences just because I want to stop Drytrons, to be honest with you. That's why I'm playing it. If we can stop Drytrons, we don't have to really deal with any of the negates. Then I play one Screams of Branded. Basically, if a fusion monster was sent to your graveyard, you can special summon one of your fusion monsters that is banished or in your graveyard during the end phase. If this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there to activate the effect of Fallen of Albaz, this turn you can set this card. So two decent effects. I don't really find myself using it too much, but it has helped me in a pinch every now and then. Then we're gonna play one Judgment of Branded. I like this card a lot, as some people just get off monsters that's very much stronger than your Quietus, and usually that's what you're summoning mostly. So what it does is I can target one level 8 or higher monster, and if you can see, the only card that's not level 8 or higher as a fusion is Mud Dragon. But we have Starving Venom, we have Albion, we got Quietus, we have Proskinian, and then we got Darklord. All these cards are fusions, and they're all level 8 or higher, except for one SR fusion monster right there. But basically, if their opponent has any card that's stronger than any of our fusion monster, we can select that one fusion monster, and then we can wipe out their whole board. Yeah, that's how good it is. Anyways, let's get on to the extra deck. We are playing Mud Dragon of the Swamp. We're playing Starving Venom, Fusion Dragon, Albion Branded Dragon. And I guess I should go over this as well. So Starving Venom, Fusion Dragon, what happens is when this card is summoned, fusion summoned, only fusion summoned, guys, you can make this card gain attack equal to one opponent's special summoned monster into the end phase. And then once per turn, you can target one level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls, and then it can become that name and use its effect. Yep, that's how good that is. And then with Albion the Branded Dragon, if this card is also fusion summoned, you can fusion summon one level 8 or lower monster from our deck using any of the materials we have in our field or graveyard. So you basically get off 2 fusions just because of this card for the free. We have 2 Despian Tragedy. Basically, what happens is if the card is not level 8 fusion or level 8 fusion or higher monster, you can lower its attack to 0, so it exceeds links, regular normal effects, rituals, anything that's not a fusion level 8 or higher, you can lower it to 0. We have Proskinian. Then what it does is during the main phase, we can target one fusion, synchro, exceed, or link monster in our opponent's graveyard, banish it, or special summon it to the field. And then when this card is destroyed by an opponent's monster, when this card destroys an opponent's monster, we can inflict damage to our opponent equal to that monster's attack or defense. So let's say we let's say this, right? We go ahead and attack a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Blue Eyes goes to the graveyard, we can hit it for 3,000 damage. Yeah, so we'd be hitting no matter what our 3,200 damage, no matter what, when it comes to attacking that Blue Eyes, right? Another thing is, what also happens is, let's say they have a fusion monster like this in the grave, as you're going to see in the videos. We can actually use Proskinian to summon out their own fusion monster. So super annoying. Then we got the first Darklord. We have this at 2. What this does is it allows us to not only get off a 4K beater and a 4K defensor, and we can also use Morningstar's ability to just pop their whole board. Then we have a Nightmare Phoenix, just in case we need to deal with any spells or traps. We have a Condemned Darklord, which allows us to actually summon our Darklord Morningstar onto the field easier if we need to, because when this card is on the field, what it does is we can use cards in our graveyard, banish those cards instead of on the field. That way we can tribute summon them. Then we are playing Maschiana. We're playing Predaplant. Predaplant just allows us to use super polys. Super good. Nightmare Unicorn, Appaloosa, Bold of God, and Access Kotar. So anyways, guys, this is what we are playing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and Cat Life is signing out. See you. All right, so first we are going to go ahead and open up a branded opening. From branded opening, we're going to go ahead and toss out our Darklord Superbia. This allows us to get Aluber the Jester onto the field, and then from there I can send out another one after sending out Darklord Ukoback. Now we can go into Despian Tragedy, and this is actually a super strong board, especially in the beginning, because any monster that's not a level 8 fusion or higher monster cannot really get over this. If they're level 8 in fusion, then they can get over it, but like half the decks in here don't really use fusion monsters. They're mostly using like Xyz or Synchros, right? So unfortunately I forgot to actually activate my ability. So we got attacked. So I kind of goofed right there. I was supposed to activate it during the main phase, but I didn't. Anyways, we're gonna activate our branded opening again, toss out our super poly. We're gonna bring Dramaturge onto the field, and then from there we're gonna go into Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. And then from Starving Venom, we're going to be able to summon Dramaturge from the graveyard. We're going to attack over that. And then we're just going to go ahead and attack again. He gets a 500 increase. So realistically, this duel should have been done for the most part. But because of my goof, it actually continued on. So he summons out Aroma Guardian, going into Aromage Jasmine. And then uses 1-for-1. That way he'll bring out his Evil Thorn. I take a 300 damage. He summons out 2 more Evil Thorns, and then activates Primula, the Rika, from his hand. He brings out Bulbasaur Dragon, and so I'm like, okay, well, if you're gonna bring out Bulbasaur Dragon, I'm completely fine with that, because we could just negate his effect using Dramaturge. He does, however, get to turn us to defense mode. So I guess he didn't realize what happens when Starving Venom dies, but when Starving Venom hits the graveyard, you can destroy all special summon monsters on your opponent's field. So he like completely goofed. We then draw into our Darklord Contact. We activate that so we can bring out another card from our grave. Superbia allows us to summon another fairy from our graveyard, our hand. So we bring out Aluber the Jester. And then we're just going to go ahead and go straight into our first Darklord. And then we can bring out another Dramaturge. And we're just going to go ahead and attack into it. So it was just as simple as that. As you can see, this deck has a lot of summoning power. He decides to bring out Burmagot. But to be honest, like, Burmagot wasn't going to survive. We still had too much attack power on the board. And that's going to be GG's. Let's go ahead and hop into the next one. All right, round 2. So we are going first once again. And this time we summon out Jester. Jester, however, he has a max C, so he is going to be able to get cards. So with him being able to get cards, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let me still get branded opening. And because we already had a Theater in our hand, Theater allows us to fusion summon using any Despia monsters that we have. So we're going to bring out Kratos. He then has a max C. Not sure why he activates. I mean, he then has a effect failure. Didn't really know why he activated it there. Then I noticed he's running Kaiju, so I'm like, oh crap, he's just going to go ahead and actually tribute our fusion summon monster, and that's going to be very annoying. So obviously, what do you think he does? He goes into tuning, and then he sends a Kaiju to the grave. He summons out the Thunder King, and then summons out the Sea Turtle Kaiju. From there, he goes into Relinquish and Enema. That way he can like basically steal the monster he Kaiju'd onto our field. So I decide, okay, well, if he's going to just go ahead and do that, I need to get a monster onto our field so we can avoid any OTK plans he may have. So I use branded opening, but then branded opening is actually negated. And so from there, he continues to go into his combo, brings out Jet Synchron once again. And thank goodness he didn't have a combo potential, only because he had used Pot of Prosperity, and when you use this, all damage is halved. So now we get another branded opening into our hand. So obviously, what are we gonna do? He's gonna go ahead and use this to negate it using his Kaiju Waterfront. And so that's what I wanted him to do, because I really wanted to use Despia the Theater. But before we use Despia, I wanted to summon out Darklord so we could get Darklord Morningstar in our hand. Now, when we fusion summon using Morningstar to make the first Darklord, we can literally wipe out his whole board. And then we can also use Dramaturge to summon him back, since he was part of the fusion summon. And look, he didn't have enough of his Kaiju tokens to go ahead and negate what I was doing. So now we get to attack him for 7k damage. So a nice little comeback on our part. He fell for the bait. I'm not sure why he went for the Despia branded opening activation, knowing that we had a theater on the field, but you know, it is what it is. Anyways, we are going to use the first Darklord to bring out Jester from the grave once again, because every main phase I can activate this on my opponent's turn or on my turn. Anyways, he summons out Dogmatica Expecia, and then he's going to bring out Dogmatica the Knighted. So as you can see right here. So here comes Floors. He decides to keep going, and then he brings out his Kaiju. His Kaiju activates its effect. Now he gets a whole bunch of Kaiju tokens, but because it was destroyed by a card effect, we can actually use Theater to bring out Darklord once again, and he can't attack over it. Now it's only a 1,000 point difference. There's nothing he can literally do here. We draw into a Super Poly. I decided to go ahead and activate this anyways, just because I'm like, you know what, why not? We go ahead and attack into it. That's gonna be GG's. So as you can see, like, this deck has so much combo potential. It's like really good. I still don't know which deck I find to be more fun. I actually no, I lied. I think Darklord's Despia is more fun than Shadow with Despia, but it's just personal preference. It depends on how you guys are thinking. This deck is just super fun, especially because of that one card right there. All right, on to decks. All right, game 3, and we are now going second. So we don't get to set up. He places one card face down and one card defense mode. I'm guessing he bricked, because that's usually what happens when I'm doing. Anyways, we summoned Jester once again. We get a Theater from our hand. We activate Theater, and then we're gonna go ahead and use Theater's ability. We're gonna send Dramaturge and Tragedy to summon the first Darklord. So because we couldn't send Morningstar to the grave, we can't just pop his whole field, but it's okay. We get still Tragedy's effect to activate in the grave, which allows us to bring a card from our deck to our hand. I choose Dramaturge, and the Dramaturge can activate its ability as well. That way it can be summoned. I then use Darklord so I can resummon another card, and he's gonna go ahead and activate his card. So it looks like he is playing this really annoying deck from back in the day, the Yangzings. Oh my gosh, guys, I couldn't tell you how much I actually just hated these cards. Well, knowing that he's summoning this, I decided to use Dramaturge to negate its effect by going into Masquerena so we can get off the negate. So then after that, I decide that with Masquerena on the field, I could just use it to go ahead and pop whatever he has going on. So I plan to go into Nightmare Phoenix. We get another branded opening because we summoned this right here using the Darklord, and here comes his beast. Now I was like super confused about what he thought was about to happen. I'm guessing he didn't read what Dramaturge does, but he's just like, you know what, I don't really care what Dramaturge does, because he would have had this card. So thank God we activated Masquerena. Masquerena gets sent back to our extra deck, but so Dramaturge is able to actually still negate. He then plays Ginseng Prana, and he gets like an increase, changes us to attack mode, hits us for 1500. Unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. Then he wipes our whole board. So I was like, oh, okay. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're still in a good spot because we still had a branded opening and a strategy. We tossed the strategy to the grave. That way we can get Despia Jester to come to the field, and then we can bring out another Theater that allows us to go ahead and once again fusion summon So we would have went into Despian Creatus, and then from Creatus, Dramaturge's ability would have activated. He would have been summoned back, and we would have had a 2500 beater on the field with a 3k beater in defense mode, so we wouldn't have been able to finish him off that turn. But for follow-up turns, we would have been in a really good spot. So he just decided to go scoop, which is very understandable. All right. So we are going against this person named Snacks, and unfortunately we bricked hard. So I just throw a tragedy into the grave. To be honest, this card right here, the Van Dagalon, the Dark Dragon. This is why I decided not to opt to run it, because it just always usually bricked. And I started thinking about it, like for the most part, I never had a way of actually summoning it using its effect, because we don't have a negate that can that is done by counter trap. So I was just like, you know what, I'm done with this card after this duel. Anyways, we summon out Jester. Jester then gets our Despia. He then uses a Dark Bribe to get rid of Theater. So I'm like, oh crap, what can we do here? We then get an Imperm though, so it's not too bad. And then we can use Tragedy to go ahead and get our Theater back on the field. We activate Theater once again, and this time we are able to go into what we need to, Despian Creatus. We then decide to go ahead and attack, and so I hit it for 600, and he's gonna go ahead and get his card. So he is playing Frightfurs. Frightfurs is super annoying, Frightfur Fluffles. And the positive thing is we do have a self-infinite permanence, so whenever he decides to use a monster effect, we can at least get rid of this card from activating for that, at least that one turn, because it's already in that row. He's gonna go and play a Pendulum Scale and then play Edge Int Poly to get a Frightfur Cruel on the field. This card is super annoying, but thankfully he actually activated it in this row, so I guess people don't really pay attention to Infinite Impermanence. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and activate Infinite Impermanence right now. We are able to negate one effect, but we couldn't get over his increase. So he does get to increase a card, but we were able to stop him from destroying one of our cards. So that was a super important part, because when he summoned it, he could destroy a card. So now that this is negated, he still gets the attack crease, but this is also negated too. He decides to get rid of his Regeki. Not really sure why. I guess because he thought, well, you know, I have enough attack power. It is what it is. And he's just going to go into his combo. And this combo is super, super long. Just going to fast forward it, as you can see. Look at it. He gets off a nice, decent field. And he's going to go into Cross Sheet now. And then from Cross Sheet, he's going to use Sync, and then he literally forgot that we activate Infinite Impermanence here. So bye Poly, which he could not use. And then he realizes, oh crap, since I can't use Poly here, let me go ahead and use Frightfur Fusion on this side. And so he gets rid of 3 of his cards to summon out Frightfur Sabertooth and puts it there. So I mean, that one goof, I mean, I've done that before too. Unfortunately, he was able to go ahead and do this. I forgot to actually pop my ability, but then again, no, I didn't forget to pop it. I just didn't want to lose Aluber, because it's a level 8. So I was like, oh, it's a level 8, so it's not going to be affected by Despian Creatus. Anyways, we summon out Darklord, and we go ahead and give him a Darklord Ukoback. And then from here, yes, you guessed it, we are bringing out the first Darklord, because we got Morningstar in our hand. And then from there, bang, 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 we wipe out literally everything on the field except for this, because it couldn't be destroyed by Battle or Cards effects. So he is going to keep it onto the field. I believe next turn that he has come up, he just switches it to defense. And so I'm like, okay, well, he clearly doesn't have anything. So let me go ahead and use Darklord's ability to get Despia onto the field, Jester, and then we can get Judgment the Branded. And the reason I got that is just in case he got out something a little bit stronger than us. And then I go ahead and do this once again. And so I noticed, like, hey, he is a dark monster. So with him being a dark, we might as well do this. Use our Starving Venom. and Starving Venom is going to just use its ability. And then what I should have done is, now that I think about it, I should have went into, to be honest with you, this is what I should have done. Oh, that's right. That's why I didn't do it yet. I didn't have Predaplant in my extra deck yet. I decided to go opt it in later. If I had Predaplant, what I could have did is use Predaplant, then activate this ability to get Super Poly, and then pop this off the field because it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. But it doesn't say we can't use it for a fusion, and it's a dark. So, and we could have just made Starving Venom. So that was the reason I didn't do it. Okay. Anyways, we just decided to do this. I activate Branded into white to go ahead and do another fusion, because of what I wanted to do is, now that we have Dramaturge on the field, we can summon out Despian Tragedy. Dramaturge is going to activate its ability, right? It's going to negate this. That means it can start being destroyed by battle and card effects. And then we can also bring out another Dramaturge. So here comes our other Dramaturge onto the field in attack mode this time. He is now negated. We destroy that. He uses Imp to keep it alive, but then we destroy it again. And we just go ahead and attack for game. So as you can see, like, Dramaturge is super good in this deck, because not only when a fusion monster is summoned, but when a fusion monster is summoned while it's already on the field, you can negate a card. And then on top of that, you can also, when it's being used for its fusion summon, bring it back to the field from the graveyard if it was a fusion with summon material for that fusion. It's actually such a nutty card, man. It really is. All right, so it looks like we are going against a Pendulum Deck and Mystical Beast. Now, I've never even seen what these cards do. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. He decides to get off this Mystical Beast Master Cerberus, and then does some other things where literally I can't activate my first spell card. So I'm like, oh crap, what do I do here? Anyways, I decided to summon Jester, and I decided to go ahead and get Branded Opening. That way I could bait this Magician's right hand out. He negates it like I thought he would, and then we can go into Despia Theater. Now from Despia Theater, I'm going to go ahead and summon Creatus. And because this is not a fusion monster, but it is level 8, our effect works against it. So I'm going to go ahead and activate it. So we're going to drop that 2800 down to 0, like a Chad that we are. Now, as you can see, we do get our Dramaturge here, and then we can summon our Dramaturge from the grave because it was used as fusion. And we could just go ahead and attack for 5k damage. So after that, I decide it's time to go into our Link Summon of Condemned Darklord. Toss this to the grave. That way we can get a Morningstar. And then for next turn, we have a nice quality setup to summon out the first Darklord, because we have Morningstar in our hand and we can wipe out the whole board. He then uses his Pendulum summons. He gets a few Pendulum tokens to be able to use its effect. I decided it's time to ash that. That way he can't use it. And so now he's in a weird place, because then he activates spell books. So I'm like, oh crap. Let me go ahead and activate this now. The reason I activated Creatus now, because the way this works, for each spell counter that's on here, right, there's one of them where they can remove a card and then destroy my, like, any card on the field based on the number of spell counters. Oh, here it was. So once per turn, when an opponent activates a monster effect, you can remove 2 spell counters from your field, negate the activation if you do destroy it. So as you can see, he has 1 spell counter here. He doesn't have anything there and nothing there. So I'm like, okay, well, when this card gets activated, he gets another spell counter, and that would make 2. So I'm like, I might as well drop that thing down to 0 now. So as you can see, he gets 2 spell counters. Now he can't negate it because we already activated it beforehand. So unfortunately, our Condemned Darklord is in attack mode with 0 attack. He then summons out Daybreaker, the Shining Magical Warrior, and hits us for 1900. I mean, it's not too bad. It is what it is. So now knowing that he has this right here, which can negate our effect, and then he also has this that stops me from using a magic card on the first turn. I decided to go ahead and use Despian Tragedy. He effect Veilers us. Not sure why. we were stronger than him. But I decided, okay, might as well. Let's go ahead and use this. We're gonna drop him down to 0, and because he linked someone off that monster that negates our stuff, it really didn't matter. Just gonna go ahead and attack him for game. This is as simple as that. I'm pretty sure he had a better chance of keeping his monster on the field instead of link summoning it. But I mean, it was what it is. I guess he wanted to do some damage. All right, so now we are starting first again. So we get theater on our hand. So obviously we're going to go into what we do best. We're gonna go into creators. Now the cards we sent to the graveyard, as you can see, is Strategy, and we sent Dramaturge. Dramaturge is going to be able to summon itself back to the field like you guys always see. As you guys can see, this deck is pretty easy to understand. It's really not that hard. And then with Tragedy is going to go to the grave, and because it was sent there by a card effect being our theater, we can use it to bring a card to our hand. So here comes Dramaturge, comes back to the field. So we already got 2 monsters on the field, pretty strong, and then Tragedy is going to bring ourselves our Despia. Jester is going to be summoned now. That way we can bring ourselves a Judgment of the Branded. And the reason I decided to bring this instead of Branded Opening is because I could target 1 level 8 or higher fusion monster that I control, and then if their monsters is strong enough than my level 8, so let's say it has a 2600 and then it has like 1400, 1500, 1800, 1900, I could destroy all their cards on the field just because 1 card is stronger than my level 8 fusion monster. And then it turns out he's playing also a Darklord deck. So I mean a Despia deck. So he summons Albion the Branded Dragon. So goodbye to our card, but honestly I think he forgot Dramaturge is on the field. So with Dramaturge being on the field, we negate this effect. Creators can now bring itself back to bring a a card from our deck. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the same jerk. I'm going to use his Albion Dragon and my Fallen of the Albaz, so I can summon out my Starving Venom. So now he activates his theater. He sends out a Relinquish and a Jester to the grave. I was a little confused about him having a Relinquish in this deck. It threw me off. So he decides to go ahead and destroy Dramaturge. Makes sense. But because Dramaturge was destroyed, because it's a normal effect monster, well, just an effect monster, non-fusion, we can now bring out Creators to the field. And so we see that he has a Branded in white. And then he also goes ahead and gets this right here, which is Screams of the Branded, which is basically if a fusion monster was sent to the graveyard this turn, fusion summon 1 of your fusion monsters that is banished or in your graveyard. So I was like, okay, I know exactly what he's going for because it's a play I would have went for. Anyways, we use Branded Opening to get rid of this so we can summon Dramaturge, and then we're gonna use Strategy to bring out Branded Opening again. Now I'm going to use Starving Venom to go ahead and activate this effect, and I forgot, oh crap, it's not affected because it's level 8. Anyways, I said, okay, well, let me go into Despian, Proskinian, and then summon out Dramaturge. That's going to activate, so we are going to be lower, but we can still out damage it. He's going to use Jester to bring it back, and then our effect is negated, unfortunately. So with our effect being negated, I couldn't like basically take his Creators and bring it to my field because he negated with Jester. So it did suck, but it is what it is. Anyways, I have to unfortunately end my turn, so he does have Creators back onto the field, and that could be a problem because of Dramaturge. So I decided to go use Proskinian's ability, and what Proskinian does is during the main phase, it doesn't matter if mine or the opponent's, you can target 1 fusion, synchro, exceed, or link monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, or summon it to the field. When this card destroys an opponent's monster, you can inflict damage to that opponent equal to the monster's original attack points or defense. So we take Albion the Branded Dragon, basically. And with that, I decide to go ahead and use Dramaturge to negate Creators' effect, and then he goes into Millennium Eyes Restrict. This threw me off because I was like, yo, this play is actually kind of poggers. And then he brings out his own Despian Tragedy. So I'm like, yo, chill, bro. And so we decided to go ahead and pop Judgment of the Branded. I'm not sure why he doesn't play this goated card, because this card's amazing. Anyways, we get Indulged onto the field. So I just decided I'm gonna go ahead and attack into that. And then he's going to use Screams of the Branded to bring out Tragedy. We're gonna use this to negate its effect. Now, what did suck with him doing that, his effect is negated. We're going to go ahead and get Shrouded to come back to our field. So there we go. There goes our Darklord. And I decide, okay, well, there's only one way to get rid of this annoying card. So let's summon the first Darklord onto the field in defense mode. Use Dramaturge and Morningstar's ability. That way we can completely destroy his field. He's gonna go ahead and use Theater so he can bring back monster, I believe. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me activate Appaloosa. So there goes the Branded Dragon in the grave. That activates. I decide to negate it, but then he has a Psi Frame Gamma, another card that threw me off in this deck. So unfortunately, Appaloosa gets destroyed. So he does get a Branded, but to be honest, there's literally nothing he could do. We can bring back our Darklord to the field on defense mode. Those cards get banished at the end of the turn, and we already know what's in his hand. So he decides to go ahead and activate this, which is called Branded Bond. And I've actually never looked at this card, so I had to read it. But they basically is a special summon one of your fallen Albaz that is banished in the graveyard, and then during the end phase, if this card is sent, you can activate the effect of fallen Albaz. So I'm like, okay. So I decided to go ahead and activate Despian, and my dumb behind literally thought I could actually summon this. I'm not sure why it didn't let me. It's a fusion monster, but it didn't let me. But the reason I wanted to do it, because once per turn, when your opponent activates effect monster, activates the monster effect, you can quick effect it and target it and add it to your Millennium Eyes. So that's what I thought I could do, but apparently I was wrong. So anyways, I just summoned out Dramaturge because I knew he was going to be summoning a fusion monster. So using Branded White, so he summons out Titanclad. Titanclad gets his attack increase from his ability, but we decided to use Dramaturge to lower it. He can't really do anything about it now. It's basically useless, because now we can summon out the GOAT, Despian Tragedy. Tragedy, however, won't affect it, but I mean, we have two monsters strong enough to go ahead and destroy it, and he realizes this. There's just nothing he can do. I summoned a Jester from the grave. We get a card from our deck. We use Branded White. Then I'm gonna take his Albion the Branded Dragon. So his cards have just been super useful for me. I'm gonna use this so we can go ahead and now summon our own Albion the Branded Dragon. And with Albion the Branded Dragon on the field, we can activate its effect. And as you can see, bang, we get to summon off another fusion monster. We then go into Nightmare Unicorn. We can now get rid of our infinite Impermanence, send that to the deck, and we're just gonna go ahead and attack for game. And I decided to use his own monster to go ahead and wipe him out, because why not? Anyways, guys, thank you all for tuning in. Let me know if you guys like these videos. If you want me to do, I guess, more live action videos, I could. I just feel like this is a lot easier to do, because we don't have to sit around waiting for the opponent to take 45 minutes to make one turn. But if the live action ones is better for you, then I can also do that as well. Anyways, thank you all. Do not forget, comment, like, subscribe, support. Love everyone. Thank you all for everything. You guys are making these videos happen every day by just watching the videos and commenting and liking. So Cal Life is signing out. See ya.